Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And coming on to see another this month's of the Unsavory Politik. My name is Jamar Jabari, and of course, I am your host. And I have my co-host, one of my favorite guests, with me today, Willie Braggs from Bragland and the Willie Braggs Show. How's it going, my friend?
Hey, I'm back, and I'm glad to be back. How are you doing, Jamar?
I'm doing very well. We got a lot to talk about today. And there's one thing that I did not mention in the description that we definitely should talk about is there was a apparent assassination attempt on JFK Jr. Did you hear about that?
RFK Jr.
Oh, RFK Jr. Sorry.
Well, they tend to be the name Kennedy. I mean,
Right.
yeah. Well, I mean, I hope he's going to get Secret Service protection now.
I thought he already did. It's
Mm,
very odd that he doesn't. That's what really puzzles me about that whole situation.
Yeah,
It,
yeah. I find that very curious, and just wow. I mean, you know, ouch. That's not good.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were trying to, like, the media was just like, there wasn't really full attention on that, and it's like, why wasn't there full attention on that? And when it comes to, like, Secret Service protecting these candidates, because they say that they protect the ones that have a like, that are like the big levels, like, for instance, Obama had protection for 2 years straight, which I think is actually not like something that they have done before. But understanding, like, if everybody remembers during the Obama campaign, it was he needed that Secret Service protection. I could totally understand why they made certain circumstances for him, because he was definitely, like, I mean, wasn't there, like, it was so long ago, but there was, like, threats of mass shootings and shooting in a black historic college and everything. Like, he needed that protection. But Kennedy also, even though that, like, I guess no one wants to take him seriously as being a threat to Joe Biden, but still, he deserves that protection. He's the only one, right? Marianne Williams didn't drop out yet, or she,
Well,
or
I don't.
she,
Well, I know that Peter Dowell is no longer working her campaign.
right?
I guess he
Well,
has.
Peter's Dow is with Cordell now.
Yeah, and I wish that he would. I wish he would get rid of Peter Dow.
Agreed.
Replace him with somebody else. I don't trust Peter Dow, but
Yep. Yep.
yeah. I smell a conspiracy theory there, but yeah, with I do.
I agree.
Anybody hooked up with the Clintons.
Right.
Yeah, but regarding the situation with protection, yes, I mean he needs protection. Even the Republicans running for president are getting Secret Service protection. Like Tim Black said a few days ago, he
There
said
we go.
even
Example.
Chris Christie in New Jersey has Secret Service protection. What are they going to steal? His sandwich?
Like, I thought that this is something that is guaranteed to you when you are running on a ticket of the GOP or the DNC, that these precautions will be put into place. I mean, not to mention, if you look back on the history, isn't that how his father, RFK Sr., got killed? Because he wasn't protected by the Secret Service at the time, and they actually made precautions to make sure that every candidate would get that type of. That's a history that I have to read into, but I heard that that was the reason why that they do have Secret Service protecting candidates, because of the RFK Sr. Assassination.
I don't know when it started, but it would make sense that around that time where Secret Service protection would have started. It would make sense. and some places is you don't really need it. I mean, like the monarchy in Sweden can actually walk in the mall and, hey, how are you doing? But but here, I mean, Americans love their guns, and we have a lot of crazy people on medications and pissed off and all that. So I would even say politicians I despise should have Secret Service protection too. I mean, I don't want anybody getting, harmed.
Yeah. Agree. That's the last thing that we need. We have some comments here. We got Miguel H.
Yep.
Hey, what's up, Miguel?
How you doing, Miguel? I see him all the chat lines, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Need for protection reflects the fucked up society we live in. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, there was an assassination that happened in Ecuador. Was it Ecuador? Or was it Argentina? I think it was Ecuador. And this guy literally, I forgot this gentleman's name, but he was part of the dude that ran for I can't think of this man's name right now. They were talking about him, but he ran for president and he got assassinated. But he was one of the guys that were actually a part of the Project Car Wash, and helped get Lula like in prison for years and stuff like that. So part of me was like, well, fuck him. But then the other part was like, damn, it's like that, like the drug cartels there. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You can just go up and just blow a guy away. And like this is a part of the country where and somebody correct me wrong if it's the wrong country, because I read it a while ago. So, but like they were saying that this country, Ecuador, was like not as violent as it recently was before. So now it's getting violent again during the election season. So like we don't have that type of culture here in the United States with candidates really. But it's just so unfortunate that RFK Jr. has to deal with that type of circumstance after he lost his father and he lost his uncle. So it's like the Kennedys, they just could never get a break. It seems like, like it's just
of all people. I mean, not that I wanted to say that a certain name should be above all else, but you got that Kennedy brand, and you're running for president. There are a lot of people that want to be copycats out there, and they're going to be like, they want to go and make their little slot in history. So I am not all that shocked considering some of the positions. And I mean, I'm not really for Robert Kennedy, although I'm more sympathetic toward him than Joe Biden, obviously. But there are some positions that he has that, I mean, he's pro Hillary Clinton. I mean, I'm not particularly keen on Bernie Sanders anymore, but to choose Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders, it's like, what are we doing here? Bobby, what are we doing? And there's some other issues. I'm trying to think. There's one other issue that I'm a little bit bothered with, but I can't think of it at the moment. But Medicare for all. He's taking the typical corporate Democrat stance on healthcare, which also bothers the hell out of me. But I like him on a lot of other issues, and his prestige of being a Kennedy, and the fact that he is kind of an anti-establishment insurgent candidate. The Democratic establishment got scared with insurgent candidates in 2016, 2020. And even some of the insurgent candidates that ran for Congress, that they finally found a way to kind of get under control. That's why they're canceling the primaries. I mean, that's why they're not having debates.
I mean, look at this. We're gonna move on from Robert Kennedy, but this is a quote right here that he even said himself. They made rules that if any candidate sets foot in the state of Iowa or sets foot in the state of New Hampshire, then none of the votes that are cast for that candidate will be tallied. What the hell? Sounds like we need a third party, right?
Well, the Democratic Party is making a case for a third party, and some people are going to vote. Tim Black said a few days ago, about almost a week ago, he said that this Secret Service protection denial might be the reason why Donald Trump will win next year. And especially somebody does something terrible to Robert Kennedy.
Yeah.
Because it's going to look like that the establishment let it happen.
It will, which is why I don't understand this whole controversy on why he doesn't have Secret Service while he's still campaigning. He hasn't given up yet. He's at like 17%.
Yeah, you would think that if they were going to try, they would be a little more sophisticated about if they were going to try to put a stop to him, that they could just find a way. I mean, not that I'm for smearing people, but they could do that. There would be other methods. I mean, this is so to not allow him protection. And then if something, that happens, that's going to be the conspiracy nuts will have a leg to stand on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. They'll have such a field day.
Yeah.
Well, that's that. Let's go on to other other points. Into the UN. The UN was very, very, very interesting. I mean, let's talk about Zelensky first. Zelensky, I chose to not pay attention to Zelensky's speech because he's in Washington, D.C. right now. And we all know why he's in D.C. right now.
Money, money, money.
This whole narrative of if you don't give us money, then Russia's going to come for you as well. That's his narrative. U.S. is going to have to send their sons and daughters to fight as well too. This whole dogma of Russia being the big bad boogeyman of the world is just, it's not buying for the rest of the world. Only 15%, which is the West, is buying this nonsense. You look all over the other world. I mean, the rest of the world, that whole 85%, they are like, no. That's not true. Russia's not going to do what Hitler did, try to take over Europe and all this nonsense. That's not happening. It's a false narrative. And they're losing the war. And the West has already confirmed this with their little encrypted media. They're acknowledging a few things and BSing a lot other things. I mean, the New York Times literally talked about, there was an article I was reading, and I can't even think of the name. I should have brought it up, where they were saying that they are slowly getting ground, but also losing drastically. And they're saying that they haven't even made it through the front line yet, but they are also gaining a little bit of territory. So my thing is, okay, you're gaining a little bit of territory, but you still didn't get through the front line. That makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely no sense to me, because I'm hearing that a lot of them are dying through landmines and all these other type of traps before they're able to even confront. Because in Zaporizhia, they're on the lower level when it comes to ground terms. And Scott Ritter reported that they have the high ground advantage on the Ukrainian army at this point. He was on Jimmy Dore. If anybody wanted to know, where did you get that information from? He's on one of Jimmy Dore's new episodes. So my thing is that we have this information, and a lot of people that don't want to deny it, it's whatever. But he's in Washington begging for money. It's like at this point, Poland is already pulling out. That's the new update. Poland said they're not going to give any more weapons. This is starting to drag, because once Poland pull out, a lot of other European countries are going to pull out too, right? Like, it makes no sense.
I would hope that there would be no more military funding or anything. At this point, as I said, and to negotiate, because this is insane, and this whole notion of if you don't go and defeat the Russians over there, we're going to have to fight them over here. It sounds very similar to what I heard Bush and Cheney said back in after 9/11, while you had to go into Afghanistan and Iraq, because if you don't fight them over there, you're going to be fighting them over here. And that's just nonsense. It was nonsense then. It's nonsense with Russia, and it's nonsense with China.
Yeah. Because if you listen to their speeches, which is not hard to access their speeches, even though the media here tried to get rid of it, there's options. They still show his speeches on YouTube. There's left media outlets that are showing his speeches on Instagram. RT is still on Instagram. It's not hard to see a Putin speech. If you listen to what he's saying, he never mentions anything about we're going to conquer the world. Like, that's just literally pro-war propaganda at this point. And we have to call people out on that and let that die, because that's fear mongering that doesn't even need to exist at this point. And who already conquered the world? Who has 900 bases around the world?
Absolutely.
That's my question.
The only
conquered the world.
The difference between Bush and Biden is that it's the culture war difference. Back then, they were doing the Lord's will. Back then in 2003, it was that kind of thing. It was the religious right that they made a culture war out of the Iraq, the whole Bush Cheney doctrine. So it was God's will to invade Iraq and to torture and all that bullshit. But now, the shit libs are kind of doing their own little spin on things, and whoever is doing it, here's the thing. I think it's good to be consistent on being anti-war and don't buy the neocon bullshit, no matter how they try to spin it, whether they're doing it through the 700 Club or doing it through what they would call woke language, virtue signaling.
Right. Whenever you hear about any type of mobilizing for human rights or whatever that they tried to choose to use as a reason for war, we have to automatically ignore that at this point. I thought we learned after Afghanistan and Iraq, when it was literally put in knowledge that it was a lie. But no, they have found other ways to lie and still get believed that the enemy is abroad instead for the enemy being in our own backyard, which means that it's the oligarchs and all the politicians that align with the oligarchs. That is the true enemy.
Amazing how many Americans still believe the same lie as is regurgitated and recycled. 2 decades later, they're like, well, they finally acknowledged it was a lie 2 decades ago, but then they're willing to believe in the repackaged new lie.
Right. It's literally a repackaged new lie, and that's all I have to say about that. Honestly, move on to Biden. Of course, Biden said a lot of shocking things. Well, not shocking things. What I felt was so much appalling, besides that whole Russia's losing the war, which I'm just like, guys, he's lying. What was really appalling to me is Libya. How he tried to use Libya for example of climate change. And as for someone who was a vice president of Obama and in that administration, where they were literally the people that colluded with NATO, colluded with radical Islamic terrorists, colluded with the Pentagon. Of course, they always collude with the Pentagon. Don't even be surprised by that point. But just using all these forces to bring propaganda up on Gaddafi, to bomb the hell out of Libya, destabilize Libya, let mercenaries take over Libya, that to the point that they actually reintroduced a slave trade in Libya, which a lot of liberals wanted to say that wasn't true until they got fact checked, which is beautiful. I saw a thread on that. A lot of them was just like, "Hey, I didn't know this was true," or "I was denying this." Blah blah blah. I get it. Obama is like the golden child, so you don't want to get on him, but he apologized for this as well too. The Guardian reported on this, but that apology means nothing. What really pisses me off is, did you see this? Let's get this tweet out. What you have any thoughts on this before I pull out this tweet?
Well, here's the thing. When I was younger, we were all taught that Gaddafi was this pariah, right, that was, was this scary person or what have you. And right, as I grown older and I've done my research and everything, and I found out that what he's done for his people. I'm not going to say he was perfect. Nobody's perfect, but I mean, they had the country had the highest standard of living with the oil that was producing and everything. They had universal health care. They had a universal basic income. The cities were modern. People had a relatively good standard of living, akin to Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, and that got destroyed because of Hillary Clinton when and that is one of the reasons why I despise that woman.
And she literally rejoiced and said, "We came, we saw, he died," and then here we have, I don't know if people can see, but you can see this tweet on Obama's page as well too. Obama says that here are organizations to support, and he puts it down under the organization to support, but then he also highlights his organization, the Obama Foundation. No mention of, "Hey, I apologized last time, but I need to make sure that I apologize again for Libya." No, none of that. None of that accountability that we like to see from these Democrats. So, we can talk about Obama all day, but he's not the full topic. The topic is that Biden knows this. Biden knows exactly what the issue is on the ground in Libya, but he goes up to the UN and talks about climate change, which we can have a conversation about climate change. That's fine. I support stopping climate change just like everybody else. But the fact that you take a country that is war-ridden and destabilized because of you and the administration that you was a part of, and you make no mention of that, of why they can't protect their people from floods, and over 11,000 people have died. You don't want to mention the part how you contribute to that. And the other thing is that climate change. Oh, okay. So how did climate change happen? Let's see. War is one of the biggest pollutions. It devastates the world. And we are the biggest arms dealers of the world, the United States government. So we support war. But yet we're afraid of climate change when we are contributing to the destruction of the planet through warfare. How, I just, the hypocrisy of all levels on that, Willie.
Well, the United States is hypocritical. It purports to be for human rights, and over 70% of the countries that it supports around the world, and dictatorships around the world, are supported by the U.S.,
which is something that people love to ignore when there's studies that come out and says that we support 70% of dictatorships around the world, while we're on the news blabbing about dictatorships we don't like.
Exactly. Yeah, and we may be friends with one dictatorship today, and then we end up denouncing that dictatorship tomorrow. Like Saddam Hussein was our friend in the 1980s because of Ayatollah Khomeini, the Iran's government. Then all of a sudden, things change with the Kuwait invasion and all of that, and things would change in a drop of a hat. The Taliban, Osama bin Laden was on the payroll of the CIA. He was one of us, and then he became the bad guy. I mean, and so again, our ally today becomes tomorrow's villains, and then they may become today's allies again. John Bolton said that the United States needs to back Al Qaeda to bring down Bashar Assad of Syria, for example.
Mm-hmm. Putin was one of their allies as well too. Remember when Bush said, "I looked into Putin's eyes and I saw he was a good man."
Yeah.
I wish I could do it in a nice Texan accent. You know, I love Texas. No disrespect, but I wish I could do that accent because that was just amazing that he said that.
I think that Bush's Texan accent is kind of fake because he was born in Connecticut.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, he did go to Yale.
Yeah, I mean, because the Bush family came out of Connecticut. He was born in Connecticut.
Oh,
So
wow.
I mean, and I think it is kind of some of those people will do a fake accent. You know, there's a senator from Louisiana. His name is John Kennedy, a Republican senator. I mean, no relations to the Kennedy family at all. And he has the most exaggerated Southern accent you can imagine, kind of an obnoxious style of, and it was found out that he talks that way just to appease his base.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, are you serious? That is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You can hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, guys. So I need to go grab my charger because I just realized I don't have it, and I don't want to happen what happened last time happen again. So I'm going to go ahead and play this I'm going to play this speech from the great President Gustavo from Colombia to segue into the next UN speech. Let me get my face back up. Can you see me?
Not yet.
All right. There
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, like I was saying, let's play this clip real quick. I want people to listen to what this man had to say because he said a lot of great things.
It's downloading.
This is so aggravating when things want to just not do what it needs to do.
My computer's doing the same thing. Don't worry about it. It'll catch.
Crecido el éxodo en las fronteras. Han puesto perros porque el poder no le convenía acabarla. ¿Cuál diferencia entre Ucrania y Palestina? Pregunto. ¿No es hora de acabar ambas guerras y otras y aprovechar el corto tiempo para construir los caminos para salvar la vida en el planeta? Incumplieron su propia promesa de financiar la adaptación al cambio climático. No tienen 100,000 millones de dólares para entregar a los países y defenderlos de inundaciones, tormentas y huracanes, pero sí tienen en un solo día para que se maten rusos y ucranianos entre sí. Ahora no se necesitan 100,000 millones, se necesitan 3 billones de dólares para superar la crisis climática y la cuenta asciende en cada segundo de la tierra. Como Roberto Covaría, el indígena Uwa colombiano, lo decía al mundo hace 30 años. Sacar el petróleo, decía, era sacar la sangre de la tierra y por ello la vida moriría. La mayoría de la inversión para descarbonizar la economía del mundo provendrá de los fondos públicos, del esfuerzo de las sociedades de juntar los estados para juntar la humanidad, que ahora llaman multilateralismo, de gobernar la.
So the breakthrough news covered this speech, and for everyone to get a quick synopsis of what he was saying at the UN Assembly Colombia's president Gustavo Petro reminds the world that Latin America was invaded several times by the same people that are talking about fighting invasions in Ukraine. He asks why the U.S. has billions of dollars to wage war, but not for anything else. That's the question of the day, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's always money to impose harm on other people, but never money to heal people, to help people, to educate people, to provide medical care, food, shelter. Never. You can't do that, but we can wreck the lives of whole populations of people.
It's just as clear as day. And for a Latin president to say that in front of the UN, like who said that last time? Our good buddy from Bolivia. What was his name? I know his name. Evo Morales. He said that, and what happened?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
It cooled him. It cooled him.
What was her name? Janine Inez.
Yep. Dude.
Basically, she was like Marjorie Taylor Greene meets Augusto Pinochet.
Yep. So it's like, where's the lie? Like, it's like you can, if you listen to that speech, I don't care how pro-American you are. If you listen to that speech, how do you just listen to that and not hear what he's saying? There's no way in hell. He gave that out so clear as day. He made that idiot proof. That's idiot proof. There's no way in hell that you could not see that. And I love his line where he was saying, what about Palestine? Isn't Palestine in a similar situation? I mean, like, let's think. If we talk about Ukraine, what about Palestine?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's clear as day. And GN is being attacked currently right now from what I saw. So solidarity with the young Palestinians and GN that is fighting against colonialism and apartheid. I definitely stay in solidarity with you. But I mean, what else? I know I played half of it, but was there something that you saw that was interesting that he said in that small clip?
No, everything was interesting and noteworthy, and it's just something that needs to be addressed. That we need to change our priorities and our foreign policy in America. And
right,
but we're just not in a position. Changing the parties, power doesn't really do anything. Democrat, Republican alike. It's just like changing your pair of socks when it comes to foreign policy.
Yeah, it really is. And like, that's why I wanted to share that speech, because I feel like that is the mindset. Because one of my friends shared that to me. And it made me feel happy that they shared that, because like they were always like, seeing more things on the Western perspective side. They, but like, it wasn't like straight up like I just want the West to dominate. It was just like, I don't understand why there's so much nonsense going on. Like, we need somebody out there to stop these idiots. And then when you start seeing that, the reverse is that, hey, it's a business. It's a business to topple governments. It's a business to steal resources and stuff like that. And that speech, Gustavo, he's in Colombia right now. He's in the heart of one of the most narco state countries ever, to the point that he has to change how they make money and change what they're known for, because all they know is one thing. It's kind of like what Chavez challenges was in Venezuela, where he was trying to not only make sure that Venezuela was dependent on oil, but was able to produce other things. It's a very tough. It's very, my heart goes out to that administration. That sounds so tough to be able to deal with all that. And I'm pretty sure that's scary with his speech in the UN. One more. We have Lula, the homie. I call Lula the homie.
It was great seeing him back in power in Brazil.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, who else more? I'm not Brazilian, but I'm happy that Brazil was able to vote this guy back in because he was given a rough hand with Operation Car Wash. So like it's so great that he's back. And Rusev is also back too in charge of the BRICS base. So that's really awesome as well too.
Política que hoje assola as democracias. Seu legado é uma massa de deserdados e instruídos. Em meio aos seus escombros, surgem aventureiros de extrema-direita que negam a política e vendem soluções tão fáceis quanto equivocadas. Muitos sucumbiram à tentação de substituir o neoliberalismo falido por um nacionalismo primitivo, conservador e autoritário. Repudiamos uma agenda que utiliza os imigrantes como bodes expiatórios, que corrói o estado de bem-estar e que investe contra o direito dos trabalhadores. É fundamental preservar a liberdade de imprensa. Um jornalista como Julian Assange não pode ser punido por informar a sociedade de maneira transparente e legítima.
Like he just mentioned Assange.
Yeah, that's controversial for it upsets America, our government.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's in New York City.
Yeah, I mean, the very mention of that name, and not that many heads of states or will mention that name in a proactive, positive way, or even opposition leaders.
Right.
Yeah, Jeremy Corbyn did. Yeah. I mean, not even Bernie would talk about Julian Assange.
Really? Oh, yeah, that's right. He wouldn't. Nope.
Yeah.
He wouldn't.
I'm sure his sympathies is with Julian Assange, but he was too cowardly to talk about Julian Assange. Yeah. Tulsi talks about Julian Assange.
Yeah, she does.
She doesn't.
That's the only thing I love about her. I also love how he mentioned. I was supposed to play a little earlier so people could get the bite, but the reason why they were applauding is because he was calling out neoliberalism. He was calling out the idea that neoliberalism has caused so much poverty and are using the immigrants as a scapegoat when you are part of literally the reason why there is immigration. I mean, we sanction a third of the world. So how can you not think that a third of the world is suffering off of our sanctions? Don't think that's not true. That's actually true. And I love how he brought light to that. The Latin America is getting very, very like in your face.
Well, they've been suffering under a lot of neoliberalism since the original 9/11 right. that started in Chile in 1973. The big experiment for neoliberalism, and that Reagan and Thatcher decided to impose on us that we're still living with. A softer version, compared to Pinochet, but that's what we're all suffering from, and it's like a cancer throughout the West and trying to get around the world. And we need to defeat this monster called neoliberalism.
Right. Yeah, man. A comrade said something similar to what you said. Comrade Sankara, they were on the show. They're from the Troca Collective. Shouts out to Troca Collective and everything that y'all doing out there in Florida. He said that Latin America has had their time on neoliberalism and they're done. Like what you said, and that resonates. That shows, because it's so important to see why all these new left political people are coming in, and you see what's going on in Argentina and Ecuador with the elections and stuff like that, and why there's so much tension from the far right in Colombia right now as well too, which is something Gustavo has to worry about. It's it's clear as day. They're seeing it. They're losing their leverage. No, remember when Juan Guaido was considered the president of Venezuela?
Gosh, I remember when that happened in 2019.
And now everybody know who the real fucking president is. They had to acknowledge that, and they tried to say all these things about him. I don't see as much rhetoric as I saw in the past, where they were saying he's a Maduro's a dictator, Maduro's starving his people and stuff like that. The narrative is changing. And,
you know, I tell people when they want to talk about Venezuela in a pejorative way, I tell them, or Cuba, I'll tell them, look what they have gone through. Look what they've gone through. The United States bullies these two countries, and Michael Manley's government in Jamaica during the 1970s was also, and the 80s were also bullied by the United States. And I mean, we saw what they did to Allende in Chile overtly.
yeah.
Are you familiar with? Are you familiar with Norman? I think his name was Neil Kirk. I think that's his name. Neil Kirk of New Zealand.
No, I'm not.
He was. The rumor is that the CIA dealt with him. He was found dead in 1974, and he was opposed to nuclear weapons testing in the South Pacific. So again, you know, it kind of connects to what we're saying. We're seeing here. So these people are brave for saying what they're saying.
Yeah,
because we know what the CIA is capable of.
right. And at this point, they have no choice. They're losing influence around the world. And when it comes to Brazil, they thought that they were going to be able to control Bolsonaro, but they realized that you cannot control Bolsonaro. He's going to do what he wants. So they're like, God damn it, we got to let Lula. That's what I'm thinking. I'm literally thinking the powers that be were like, we can't control Bolsonaro because they can't. They wasn't able to control him. So now they're just like, Lula's going to get out and he's going to win.
Yep, and I'm glad that Lula won, because what Bolsonaro did to the rainforest in Brazil, I mean, you know, that's basically the lungs of our planet right there.
Right.
And
right.
And if Lula can kind of reverse that, we might have a specter of hope for humanity. Because
I totally agree, because that's
what was going on during his time. I'm so glad that Bolsonaro is gone. They say he's like Brazil's Trump. I say he's more like Brazil's DeSantis. He even looks like DeSantis.
Yeah, he was homophobic as hell, like DeSantis.
Mm-hmm.
Like, policies were against LGBTQ people hard, like DeSantis. He definitely had a lot of similarities. Racism, everything.
The whole 9 yards. Yeah.
He was a monster. And I'm glad that, he's gone. Even though I don't live in Brazil, but I'm glad that Brazil gets to breathe again because of all that tyranny that they had for like 6 years. Like, oh my God. Like, that shit's crazy.
Yeah, poor old Glenn Greenwald. I mean, his life was in danger under Bolsonaro. They had 24-hour. He and David Miranda had to have 24-hour, 7 days a week security at their home.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that he had 24-hour security. Wow.
Yeah. And there are people who said that he was in cahoots with Bolsonaro. I said, are y'all crazy? I mean, there's some people that wants to go smear Glenn Greenwald,
We're getting down to the wire, and I have a little fun topic that we should talk about. Nothing too serious. It's always good to have fun. It's political as well, too, people. So don't worry. We're not switching it up like that. The Republicans are going to hold a hearing next week for the President Biden impeachment hearing. Oh man, they're coming for the king. What do you think that? What do you think about this impeachment hearing, Willie Bragg?
Okay, they have a 4-seat majority. And
Yeah.
I would like, as I said, I would like to think they're not all insane. And I'm no Biden fan. So, but at the same time, what are they going to impeach him for? I mean, what are they going to impeach him for? I know Lauren Boebert, when she's not giving her boyfriend a dry hand job at a theater in Denver,
That was crazy.
yeah. Actually, I still hate her, but I hate her slightly less because of that. I mean, that was kind of cool. It shows that she might have there might be some hope for her. But yeah, I mean, and her boyfriend was a Democrat, by the way. That does drag shows that hosts drag shows at his bar.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It is very interesting, but I was going somewhere with this. She wanted to go and impeach Biden for pulling the troops out of Afghanistan. For the only decent thing he did during his presidency. Yeah. Then he quickly ruined it by not sending troops, but getting ourselves involved in the Russian-Ukraine conflict.
Yeah, I mean, he literally just like turned it over. Like, yeah, we're wasting money here, so let's leave. But let's go waste money at a new project, and that's going to be Ukrainians.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, that's that. I don't get that at all. I mean, I would have had a little bit. I would have thought a little bit better of him if he would have pulled out of Afghanistan and not got ourselves involved in this Russian-Ukraine proxy war.
Right.
Yeah.
And Obama was against it, by the way, for people that's listening. Obama was not into arming Ukrainians at all. He was not down. But continue, Willie Bragg. Sorry.
No. I'm glad to hear that. Actually do predict in the next 2 years that some of the liberals who are kind of supportive of the war, some of them that have some well-meaning people that have Ukraine flags on their bios online, and I'm not going to go and say they're all terrible. I mean, I just say they're misguided. Some of these folks are going to realize that they're a bunch of Nazis over there in the Ukraine, and they're going to turn anti-war. They're going to be like, yeah, I guess we better be against this war too. I'm making that prediction right now.
Wouldn't it be an argument if Biden was getting an impeachment hearing pertain to that, except for his son? Like, all this stuff is about his son, right? And they say they had paper trails with bribery and all that stuff. But my thing is that every politician does this. So are we going to start looking into the Clintons that have Chelsea Manning? I'm sorry, Chelsea Manning, forever putting you next to the Clintons. I apologize about that. I would never disrespect you like that again, sis. But Chelsea Clinton getting a no-show job in a law firm, especially with Hunter Biden as well. Like, they all do these things. So it's like, what do they actually have?
They got the connections of the name. They got the connections of influence by the name alone, and that's what it comes down to. So yeah, okay. So he made money off of the Biden name and Biden's family name and everything and all that. Again, I think that Biden is corrupt as hell, but I don't know if he's himself is directly involved, other than his son being his son. But I think that what's going to happen from now on is that we're going to see presidents getting impeached by the opposing party if they have the votes to do this. They've have, I think that's the new trend.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The whole idea of him being like threatened for impeachment. Well, he's not threatened yet. It's an impeachment hearing, but the idea of them doing this is just clearly they want revenge from when the Democrats tried to impeach Trump, which the Democrats dropped the ball on that. They could have impeached him on so many other things, but they decided to do the weak stuff.
Well, yeah, and that's what Democrats are for. And then Democrats Okay, this started really when the Republicans went after Bill Clinton, and they tried to remove him from office for the wrong reasons. There were good reasons to try to remove him from office, but those policies were policies that they favored. And as I said, and with George W. Bush, nobody deserved to be put on trial more than George W. Bush, and that man's running around as a free man. Dick Cheney's running around as a free man, and I'm more offended that he's running around free, than the prospects of Biden getting in trouble or even Trump getting in trouble. The fact that Bush and Cheney walks around free offends me more than anything else.
After they killed 1 million people in the Middle
East. 1 million people
on lies.
Yeah.
But they're rehabilitated. It's okay. They are the Obama's friends. Michelle Obama loves tea parties with George Bush.
I mean, well, Jimmy Dore did say that the liberals hated George W. Bush. They hated Ralph Nader because he gave us George W. Bush. Now that the liberals love George W. Bush, they somehow still manage to hate Ralph Nader. And that's right. Where the Democrats are.
Where could Ralph Nader win in this? Where is his chance? That's how they feel about Jill Stein right now. So that it's like, are they going to like love Trump later on after everything's all said and done?
When they realize how if Russell Dobler from Due Dissidence predict that Ron DeSantis would be our next president, and the arguments he made sounds pretty credible. Mm-hmm. And if that happens, I think that there's a good chance that Donald Trump will be rehabilitated. But have you noticed that Democrats do rehabilitate past Republican presidents, but you notice that Republicans do not rehabilitate past Democrats, presidents who are, yeah. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed it now.
Yeah.
Now that I see it. Before I was just like, wait a minute. that was my brain thinking like, wait a minute. Why are we always like being nice to these people?
Got rehabilitated. Reagan got rehabilitated. I mean, they talk. They speak with high platitudes for Reagan. Bush 1 has been rehabilitated. Bush 2. I mean, it's like, come on, people. These. They're all horrible.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we got to stop with this. Well, that's somebody's grandfather. So like the war criminals get to have so much humanization and stuff when they die. It's like they just get to be like, oh, he had a family. He gets to be humanized, even though he murdered like millions of people. He gets to be human. It was for democracy. Well, they had terrorists over there. Why is majority of these people innocent and not the actual people they were targeting? Oh, well, it's war. I hate that. I hate that excuse. It's war.
I remember 10 years ago, somebody put up a meme and said it had a picture of Sarah Palin, Phil Robertson from Duck Dynasty, and Dick Cheney say, she could make these people shut up. Would you? And I said, well, I'm a free speech person, so no, I wouldn't make them shut up, but I would put Dick Cheney in prison. Phil Robertson and Sarah Palin are obnoxious, but they didn't murder anybody. But Dick Cheney did. So with Dick Cheney, I show no mercy toward him. He goes to prison.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dick Cheney shot one of his boys.
Yeah.
But that's me just being petty. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we covered everything. So I think this was a good conversation that we had right here. You got any announcements, Willie Bragg, before we head out, since we're getting to the top of the hour?
Yeah, tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Brands with Jimmy Sutherland and myself co-hosting, and we'll have Dr. Sherry Weiss as our guest. Saturday night at 9 p.m. The Willie Bragg Show. I will have a topic we'll be talking about on the show. Trying to decide what the topic will be, so it'll all be kind of like a surprise right there. So that's my plans right now. for the time being. So that's pretty much it for me. Anyways, that's pretty much it for me. So
Awesome.
and of course there's the secret show Saturday night at Sunday morning at midnight, or Saturday night.
Yeah.
Jimmy and Warren. I have to mention that because Jimmy is my co-host. So and so Warren on the chat line here. So everybody, if you're not familiar with the secret show, please go to Extra Bula Live and watch the secret show on at midnight every Saturday/Sunday. So you won't regret it.
Hell yeah, guys, you won't regret it. Shouts out to the secret show, Extra Bola. Shouts out to Jimmy. Shouts out to everybody on the left that's getting it done. You're going to see another episode from me on another music interview. A Grammy nominated percussionist Marcus Schwartz is going to his band is going to be playing, so that's going to be the next episode that you're going to see, and then we're going to bring it back with more politics. And I hope everyone enjoyed what they had to hear. And if anyone disagrees with anything, my DMs is always open, especially on TikTok. People love to go in on me on TikTok, so you are welcome to go on TikTok and tell me exactly how you feel, because that's where I get shit on the most, so it's fine. So without further ado, I want to thank everybody for coming out, and have a very, very nice day. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much, Willie. Have a good day, brother.
Take care. I'm glad to be here.
And we are out.